Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with your son if he's on the wrong path, or your daughter. You know, a lot of people have reached out to me and asked me questions like, have you ever been with anybody famous in prison? You know, everybody thinks in federal prison, that's where all the famous people go and all the rich people. Not always true. But have I been with some famous people? Yeah. But that's for tomorrow's episode. Today we're going to talk about what it's like to be stabbed. Because some people have asked me, you ever been stabbed? You ever been hit with a padlock? Thankfully, I've never been hit with a padlock. But I was in a situation where I was stabbed with an ice pick in prison. There's real weapons in there. And I'm sure a lot of you have Googled prison weapons and seen some of the stuff that's going on in there. Some of the stuff that people make. Some very innovative people in prison. Some very smart people in prison. I've seen some knives in prison that look like swords. One of the baddest knives I ever seen was an Indian dude, a Native American, had a knife made out of a deer antler. How the hell he got a deer antler in there? I can't even tell you. But I know that he had sharpened that knife down with the buffer. They got them big metal buffers in there, and he had sharpened the horn, and it was a badass knife for real. But anyway, we're going to talk about what it was like when I got stabbed. And why did I get stabbed, right? Why the hell do people get stabbed in prison? The crazy part is, I was stabbed by a dude that was a serial killer out of Washington, D.C. Little Chinese Eddie, that's what they called him. Eddie had owed me some money in prison. He owed me $45. And instead of paying me, Eddie wanted to stab me instead. But it wasn't just because Eddie owed me. Eddie owed a whole bunch of people. Owed all kinds of people money, and I guess that day he picked me. Really what happened was, on my birthday, August 17th, Eddie started an argument with me about the $45 that he owed me. And Eddie had owed me $45 for postage stamps. In federal prison, what we use for currency is stamps, books of stamps. Some of the most raggedy ass stamps you ever seen. They got flat books, they got old stamps. Some dudes are pulling stamps off letters. But nonetheless, it's the currency in there. And everybody's got a hustle. Everybody has a hustle. People are in there selling candy and making greeting cards, drawing pictures. People are making leather purses for family members, paintings, food. People are making pizzas in the microwave. They're selling all this stuff. So I had a store in prison store, a commissary store. I sold sodas, potato chips, all that silly shit. And what I would do is I would charge people stamps, they would pay me, and then other people would buy those stamps. And Eddie, little Chinese Eddie, he had a cigarette problem. He liked to smoke cigarettes all the time. And I had given Eddie $45 worth of stamps. He was supposed to go to commissary and buy me $45 in sodas that I would resell. But like I said, Eddie owed a whole bunch of people money. So one day he started an argument with me on my birthday, and I ended up punching Eddie. Eddie fell down, and there was one of the homies from New York, black dude, stood over him, and he told him like that movie, New Jack City. He said, "You got knocked the fuck out." And Eddie got in his feelings. Eddie felt he only owed me $40, but really owed me $45. And I had told him, I said, you know what? Give me the $40, don't ask me for shit. He kept yelling and screaming. I said, hey, man, don't talk to me like that. You talk to me with respect, homeboy. He kept yelling. That's when I punched him in the chest and he fell down. My mistake. After I punched Eddie, he fell on the ground. One of us had to leave the prison. That's how it usually works. I put my hands on him. He's supposed to leave. Something has to happen. Long story short, a week later on August 24th, I'm walking back into the unit with a net bag full of sodas. And I felt something in my back. And I reached back and I looked down and I seen Eddie. I was rubbing my back. I pulled my hand out and I seen blood on my hand. I seen my co-defendant. My co-defendant was at the prison with me, one of my co-defendants. And he was at the bottom of the steps. And I looked over him and said, hey, man, catch him. He stabbed me, bro. He started to run after him, but I think when it registered that I said he stabbed me, he stopped. I ran down the stairs, caught Eddie, slammed him on the ground. The knife fell out of his hand. I could have stabbed Eddie, but I didn't stab him. Just grabbed him by the throat and started pounding him into the ground. And the reason I didn't stab Eddie, and I was wild at this time, the reason I didn't stab him is because I had an appeal in. And I felt like I didn't want to blow my life or blow my appeal if I stabbed this dude. Instead of punching him in the face 20 times, I could have stabbed him in the face, could have stabbed him in the neck. I could have taken his life. I could have ended Eddie's life right there on the yard. He could have died. But instead, I just pounded him out. Police ran over there. Sirens are going off. Police jump on me. I remember the cops hit me, and I remember telling them, hey, I'm stabbed, I'm stabbed. And I started to panic at that moment because it was like a reflection. I had seen my homeboy Aaron Pike stabbed at Big Sandy over 25 times. And I started thinking in my head, damn, man, I'm about to die. It's possible I could die. So when I told the cops that I was stabbed, they stopped hitting me. They picked me up. I'm kind of a big boy. They picked me up in the air. My feet were off the ground. And they ran me to the medical department. I get to the medical department. They're looking at me, checking my back out. They take this big, long Q-tip. They stick this Q-tip in my back. And I'm like, damn, it felt like fire. They stick the Q-tip in my back and they tell me, you're all right. I got hit 2 times and scratched 1 time. And Eddie had hit me with an ice pick. And people that have been in prison, been stabbed with an ice pick, you know what that does. It's like it goes in your body. And your muscles like freeze up. Everything freezes up. Sometimes people die from internal bleeding. So after they check my back, they're telling me that I'm good, you're all right. They take me to the SHU, Special Housing Unit. I don't know why the hell they call this the Special Housing Unit, because there ain't nothing special about it. They stick me over there in the rec cage. So I go into the rec cage. I'm in there for about 2 hours outside in the cage. I sit on the ground. My adrenaline had stopped pumping at this time. So I'm sitting on the ground. And I start reflecting on my life. Like, man, what the hell am I doing, man? Could have possibly died over $45 over punching this dude in the chest. But sometimes prison, you have to do what you have to do. It's a dog-eat-dog world. The shit is real. It's raw. Men respect men. Eddie was a sucker. Eddie wanted to stab me because he wanted a way out of the prison because he owed a bunch of people money. I just happened to be the guy that wasn't listening to him talk and blasted him. Punched him in his chest, embarrassed him. The black dude standing over him telling him he got knocked the fuck out. That hurt his pride. So it was me he decided to stab. So anyway, the cops came to get me about 2 hours later. I remember this. When they came to get me, I couldn't stand up. I had to grab the cage and pull my body up to get to my feet. At this point, I felt like I was pretty messed up. Getting stabbed wasn't no joke. It kicked in. Once that adrenaline was gone, it was something you can't explain in words. So I pulled myself up the cage. End up walking to the front of the cage. Cops cuff me up behind my back. They take me to a cell with one of the homeboys from New York. I cuff up. I go in the cell. Homeboy says, what's the matter, man? What happened? I said, man, I got stabbed, bro. Fucked up. So he said, man, let me help you out, man. You get the bottom bunk. So he gives me the bottom bunk. He makes the bed for me, helps your boy out. I remember sliding into that bed head first. And I laid there. I didn't get up for 3 days. I didn't eat. I just kept asking the dude when I did wake up, hey, man, give me some water. But I didn't get out of the bed. I didn't shower. I didn't do anything. My whole body was froze, man. It was like I couldn't move. After 3 days, I was able to walk around, eat a little bit, get myself back together. And I just started thinking, man, I want to kill this dude, man. I had an opportunity to kill him, and I didn't kill him. And my mind started to play tricks on me. Started telling myself, if I get Eddie in a rec cage, I'm killing this dude. I ain't never going home. I'm about to kill this dude. But Eddie never made it out of the hole. The homeboys from New York had pulled some strings. I spent about 90 days in the hole. Crazy as this sounds, I got wrote up for assault. Wrote up for a serious assault. For fighting back. That's the thing they do in federal prison. There ain't no self-defense, ain't none of that. If somebody stabs you and you're fighting for your life, you're getting wrote up. Sometimes it's hard to even imagine that shit. You're going to get wrote up for trying to fight for your life. So what are you supposed to do? Stand there and let someone kill you? Not going to happen. Ended up getting out of the hole. Went back to the store business. Eddie never came out. I was hoping someday my path would cross with his. And I consider myself extremely lucky. And I'm going to tell you why I consider myself extremely lucky. There was another dude that had been stabbed the day after me. This was at USP Lee, United States Penitentiary, Lee in Virginia. Dangerous place. If you were looking for it, you can end up dead there. They were killing people there. I've seen people murdered there. But it was a prison where, like I said, most men respected men. It was a place where you could be killed if you were involved in that shit. But if you were laid back and wanted to do your time, you could do that there too. But anyway, there was another dude, a Native American dude. He had got stabbed with an ice pick the day after me. I believe it was the day after me. They did the same thing with that dude. They took him to medical, stuck the Q-tip in him, told him he was good. They put him in the hole just like they put me in the hole. And unfortunately, dude had internal bleeding. The prison said he was good, the prison nurses, but he wasn't good. He ended up dying in his cell, all alone, in the chute. And shit like that happens. And it happens because no one cares about you, man. When you're in prison, federal prison, maximum security prison, USP, nobody cares about you. Nobody cares if you live. Nobody cares if you die. At least none of the administration, none of the cops, none of the nurses. A lot of them people are like from out the country, man. They see animals die all the time and they're farmers and your life don't mean shit. I could have easily died at USP Lee. Could have easily died after being stabbed. But even more so, I could have ended up with a life sentence if I would have killed Eddie. And the reason I could have ended up with a life sentence is, had I taken that knife and stabbed him instead of punched him in the face, I could have ended up with life. The same way they found me guilty of that ticket, they said I had an opportunity to flee. After Eddie had stabbed me, I was on the steps. I could have ran in the unit. I didn't have to chase after him. And the same thing would have been their theory had I went to trial, a federal trial for killing another prisoner. Yeah, I could have made the argument, well, he stabbed me first. But it really wasn't a self-defense case because I chased him. I took the knife and killed him. What am I going to tell a jury out there? I'm from New York. Some people might think, man, you had a 40-year sentence anyway, but that's what it brings me back to. Yeah, I had that 40-year sentence. But you know what? When they changed the law, with all this compassionate release stuff and 3582, the way that I got out under the First Step Act that Trump had passed, had I killed Eddie, all that stuff would have been in the dumpster. I would have been watching other dudes go home and regretted every minute of it. Did I regret not killing Eddie at the moment when I got to the hole? Yeah. But that was my irrational thinking. That was my irresponsible thinking. That was the thinking that could have got me a life sentence. That was the thinking that could have made sure that I never got out of prison and I never lived my best life ever again. And I bring this story to you to tell you that prison is real. Prison is real. A lot of these dudes got prison channels and a lot of these dudes got good content. Shout out to Jay Williams and Josh, DOC TV, Florida Prison Talk, 23-1. They've experienced some stuff. I've experienced some stuff. A lot of them dudes were in state prisons. I ended up in a federal prison at the age of 24 with a 40-year sentence. And I feel like Some people can't tell the story that I could tell because they never lived the life that I lived. They've never been in the places that I've been. But I'm not telling you this story to be a tough guy. I'm telling you this story to get you to see how real this is. I want you to see that you really could lose your life. You could lose your life in a courtroom. You could lose your life in a prison. Or you could live your life. You could live your best life. You'll never have to go to prison. You don't ever have to experience the shit that I experienced or Jay Williams experienced or the shit that Josh DLC TV experienced or 23-1 or Florida Prison Talk or all the dudes that come on there. You don't have to live that life. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that you're better than your situation. And you got to get yourself out of that situation. You got to put yourself in a position to better your life. I don't know you, but I want you to know that I care about you. I care about you enough to sit in front of this camera on a Friday night to tell you my story, to tell you that I don't want to see you go down the wrong path or down the wrong road. Every road, for good or evil, begins with one small step. When we choose the path, we choose the destination. You might be on the wrong path right now, but you're in the driver's seat. You choose your destination. You dictate what happens in your future. And with that, I'm out. Until tomorrow. Blood on the Razor Wire TV.